and maintain the process of the teaching and learning, research, communication, and any other requirement of the internal environment. The last model, according to these two dimensions, the structure and the environment, rational goal model. Rational goal model emphasize on the control system. In the meantime, the external environment. What the requirement of the external environment? Here we maintain the level of stability in the system and the level of the output, the outcome, productivity of the system. This competing value model, in fact, can be implemented effectively in measuring and improving the higher education institution in conjunction with the strategic planning. One of the strategic planning model that we can use and we can apply, balance scorecard. Balance scorecard emphasize on 4 areas: the financial area, and the customer satisfaction area, and the internal process area, internal practices, and the growth and development. According to these, this area depend on the vision and mission established by the management, top management. And that will lead to, in fact, this area that we have to consider in establishing the performance, establishing the system of performance, and measuring the improvement of the performance under uncertain situation. That will lead to higher level of efficiency and higher level of effectiveness. Of course, these require these two competing value model and the balance scorecard require to be balanced between each other and to be considered to understand the need of the internal environment and the need of external environment, and try to accomplish the objective and accomplish the requirement of the higher education institution. That the student required to be considered by the management, their achievement, the level of the working hour, the assessment system, the level of knowledge that they acquire. That's one of the area to be considered beside the requirement of satisfying the staff requirement, whether in their workload, teaching load, research requirement, or whether the health issue requirement, which is the most important and consider the central issue in this time under this uncertain environment. That's in fact the just brief explanation of the system of measuring the effectiveness of organizational performance to establish the right direction of the institution in uncertain and complex and changeable environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Suhaila.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Suhaila, for an insightful presentation on new normal. All the information you have shared today was really interesting and highly informative. Now, I'll request all participants to kindly fill the feedback form, which is available in chat box, along with your name and email address. Now, it's a pleasure for me to introduce our second speaker, Dr. Pramod Pathak. Dr. Pramod Pathak, presently a professor in management at IIT Dhanbad, India, very well known as management consultant, corporate trainer, columnist, and public speaker. Having 3 decades of academic experience He is known as a professor, philosopher, thinker, and writer. He has undertaken many research projects sponsored by renowned organizations worldwide. He is well known as a visiting professor at various national and international universities. Now, I request Dr. Pramod Pathak to take over the floor. Dr. Pramod, it's for you now.
Thank you, Sushmita ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I must thank Mazoon College and, of course, Dr. Hussain and Dr. Ahmed and everybody who has given me this opportunity to present my thoughts on this very important subject in these very difficult times. To begin with, first I'll read the topic, which says that impact of new normal on organizational performance. My differences are there with the topic itself. I call it impact of the new abnormal. So this is, in fact, an abnormal time, and it has impacted severely all over the globe. In fact, we are, in fact, both fortunate and unfortunate. Fortunate to have experienced what our forefathers experienced 100 years ago. So very few people would have the experience of this kind of a catastrophe. And unfortunate that we are facing it. So that's it. Well, I will confine myself to how it has impacted organizational performance and what are the difficulties in measuring performance and what the organizations are not doing in many cases. There are several issues involved in this measuring of performance. But before that, there are several questions also. First of all is that coping with the pandemic itself. In fact, none of us had any experience of this kind of a situation in the past. So all our efforts are trial and error. Some work, most don't work. In fact, the unfortunate part is that even the medical science has the same experience. So in fact, after 7 decades of WHO, we are still doing what we used to do 100 years ago. That is rather unfortunate, but yes, it's a fact. So coping with the pandemic is one issue. Second, the pandemic is certainly going to come to an end, because that is what we have been told, that the good thing about bad things is that they come to an end. So the pandemic is certainly going to come to an end. Preparing for a post-COVID world is very important when things change. And the third issue is that this is not the last time that a pandemic of this nature has visited us. So readiness for the future pandemic, that is what is required. In fact, that is most important, because we did not learn much from what happened 100 years ago. And in fact, most of our responses were of the same trial and error nature that was there 100 years ago. Now coming to the impact. The sudden and huge impact left all of us clueless. In fact, we were not prepared. And the second part was that we never thought that this will continue for so long. We thought it will end in, say, months or maybe 6 months. But it seems to persist. And the third and most difficult question is when this is going to come to an end. So that has created a lot of anxiety on the part of all of us globally. And in fact, the effects of this pandemic is huge loss of jobs, loss of proficiency also. The kind of expertise we were used to is no longer going to help us, and productivity loss. And the worst was the mental health and anxiety issues. In fact, look at the rise in suicide rates and people visiting mental health asylums. I think we are, not very well prepared for the kind of catastrophe that we are going to witness after the pandemic ends. The mental health issue will continue for some time. There were more than 20 million jobs lost in US alone. We lost jobs in India also. We lost jobs globally. So the kind of situation that we are facing had no parallel in the past several decades. And we were all clueless, as I told earlier. Now, the question is, first, whether we can fairly measure organizational performance. According to me, it is not possible. Because there are 5 basic issues related to measuring performance. I call them 5 C's of the COVID era, because most of the things are moving online. So these 5 C's are related to those online things. First is the issue of connection. Now, to assume that every person has the same quality of connection is rather erroneous. Some people have good connection, good mobile phones. Some people don't have that. And some can't afford that. So that is one part. And then the second issue is, even if some people have the connection, the connectivity is another issue. I'm talking to you on this virtual platform, and I'm worried when the platform will give way. I don't know. So connectivity is another issue. Everyone doesn't have access to the same quality of connectivity. The third issue is competence. In fact, it is said that there are user-friendly computers. I have my doubts. In fact, there are only computer-friendly users. So if you use every laptop, it is different from the other one. So naturally, the same degree of competence will not be there with everybody. In fact, the interesting part is that my grandson, who is 6 years old, is more competent than me in handling these things. So that is a reality, and we have to accept this. So the third issue is competence. And then the fourth issue is culpability. If anything goes wrong, who will be held responsible? The company will hold me responsible. But the point is that I am not responsible. So that culpability issue is another issue. And then there is the concern of the company towards the organizational performance of the individual. So these 5 C's are the difficulties that we are going to face in measuring organizational performance. Moreover, one thing has been proved beyond doubt. In fact, in the past, recent past rather, we used to hear that online is a good substitute. But after experiencing this for 1 year, we have come to one very basic conclusion, that online is a very poor substitute of physical interaction. It has been proved beyond doubt, no matter how one tries to explain this, but the fact remains that online is a very poor substitute, and naturally there will be severe productivity loss. And then we hear a new jargon, work from home. Interestingly, there are some people who are facing this work from home and doing it properly, but for most people it is work from hell. And why it is so, I'll tell you, because there is no discipline. So you can get a mail at midnight, you can get a mail early in the morning, you can get a mail anytime in the day. So you are all the time, in fact, what George Orwell wrote in 1984 is now proved to be right. The Big Brother is watching. So now all the time you are on tenterhooks, and this has added to the anxiety. So this online issue is itself a big challenge. I think I don't say that there's other way out, but as far as the online issue is concerned, we have to be more considerate towards the measurement of performance. And this kind of a situation calls for a different kind of organizational leadership. I call it reassuring leadership. My definition of reassuring leadership is very simple. But before that, I'd like to explain with a parable from the New Testament. There's a very interesting parable in the New Testament when Jesus was once traveling with his disciples across the Sea of Galilee. And suddenly it was a very, what we call, turbulent sea, and they faced a tempest, and it was about to drown the boat. And the disciples, they were all fishermen, and they tried their best, but they could not avert the crisis. So Jesus was sleeping, and they tried to wake Jesus up, telling that, Master, why are you sleeping? Are you not concerned with our this problem? Jesus woke up and rebuked the wind, saying, Peace, be still, and the storm calm. Then Jesus asked his disciples, why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith? So this is the parable that has lessons for the present times, that the organizational leadership must instill faith in its people so that they carry on their jobs without fear of failing. What has happened is that there is a fear of failing in everybody because of the nature of change that has come up on the scenario, and the competence, lack of competence rather, which we are facing. In fact, none of us were experienced for this kind of a scenario, and we are all in trial and error mode. So the leadership has to think very clearly and empathize with the employees, the workers. And what I would suggest is that there is need for developing more sensitivities in these times of difficulty. In fact, the leading house of Tatas was recently awarded the Enterprise of the Century Award from the Apex body, Associated Chamber of Commerce of India. And why it was awarded? Because Ratan Tata, the patriarch of Tata Group, which is in fact renowned as the best in Asia, he was of a different opinion. And he said that in these times of difficulty, laying off employees is rather inhuman, and no enterprise can survive in the long run if you are not having sensitivities towards your employees. Business is not only about profits. Business is not only about shareholders. Business is about all stakeholders. That is why, in fact, we hear about the triple P bottom line: profits, planets, people. But we are always concerned with the first P, that is profits. Things are different, and we have to take care of the triple P bottom line in a reverse order. That is planet, people, and if possible, profits. So, in fact, my view is that there is a need to empathize with all those people who are more, in fact, victims than employees today. And there is need to take care of their well-being, and there is need to practice more of empathy rather than measuring performance, because measurements will not be fair in these times. So I think what is needed is that reassuring leadership. That means managing people with heart. We are using, because the more technology we utilize, the more head is involved. But technology doesn't have a heart. So that heart should come from the management, and the organizational leadership should be very particular about this fact that it's the head and the heart combination that is going to work and sustain. We are needing a sustainable leadership, which is some kind of a reassuring leadership, where you are considerate about people and you are ready to forego much of our profits. What has happened these days, I am finding, is that many companies have increased their profits despite all the odds. So naturally, it has to come from some means, which certainly cannot be termed as fair according to my definition. So there is need for reassuring leadership. And in fact, even in the higher education, as Suhaila was mentioning, she mentioned about so many models. In fact, all models have failed, what we have seen in the past. And except that we are only telling how many people will die in how many days, nothing more meaningful is coming out from those information technology models. So in fact, this Corona times have created more of an infodemic than a pandemic. So naturally, in these difficult times, it's more than models. It is the concern for the people, and for the change, we need to be reassuring to them so that we are able to get the best out of those people in the worst of times. So I think that is what my views are. Of course, they are rather radical in a sense, but that is what I feel. And that is what I experience on behalf of others. So in fact, I have tried to empathize with my students. I have tried to empathize with many workers who share their views with me. I tried to emphasize with those migrant workers. I tried to emphasize with those families who have lost their near and dear ones due to suicide and anxieties. I tried to emphasize with those people. In fact, in US, a survey was carried out, and it was found that 25% of the family said that someone or the other from their family lost a job. So naturally, you can imagine their plight. So we have to think of everybody. And these are the times of minimalism rather than profitability. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Sir, would like to convey thanks for an excellent presentation. Your ideas presented today will truly enrich each and everyone present over here. And from core of our heart, we truly appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
Now, I will request Dr. Suhail Ahmed, convener of today's webinar, to take over the floor, and will request all participants once again to fill the feedback form available in chat box. Thank you, Doctor. So now it's floor for Dr. Suhail.
Thank you, Dr. Shushmita. Thank you for your
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to introduce our next speaker. He is Dr. Ahmed Saif Khamis Al-Mazrouy. Dr. Ahmed is General Manager of Synergies Casting Oman, which is pioneer in producing car wheels. Before joining Synergies, Dr. Ahmed was CEO of Majis Industrial Services and Majan Electricity Company. Dr. Ahmed's specializations are included, but not limited to hydrocarbon industry. He has also served in Purdue. Dr. Ahmed is well known for serving community services and a strong promoter of small and medium enterprises, which is located in Oman. He is well known for his leadership qualities and decision-making skills. Dr. Ahmed received his degree from the Cardiff University in Wales. Without further delay, I would like to invite Dr. Ahmed to take over the floor.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And actually, I am an engineer. Don't reach the doctorate yet. Looking forward in the future. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Suhaila to Mazoon College and wish her all the best. Do you hear my voice?
Yes, doctor. Yes, sir.
Excellent. So welcome everybody to this specific session. It's highly interesting. Talks about measuring organizations and how to move forward after the epidemic, after this COVID-19. What is the way forward in the future? Just I want to differ from the Dr. Pramod on the way of saying that it is a difficult, yes, indeed, it is a difficult time. But we need to realize before the epidemic that the world is moving towards heaven. So we are going towards heaven. And I know that the difficulties with the environment and all these things, but the reality, as you can see it with this revolution of technology and IT, it is moving into that direction. So really, those who are ahead of us, they will be there. And those who are behind, maybe COVID-19 just push them a little bit on the road, just to move forward. You have no choice. Just go with them, go with the flow. Otherwise, you will be left behind in the road while the others are ahead of you. So this is the reality of life. We have to accept it. We have to move forward. And you may ask me, what will be the future? I will say, all the hard work will be done by robotics, all automated. And what the people will do, they will become leisures, sport activities. They go visiting countries. And from where they get the money? From the taxation from governments. And the government takes the taxation from the companies, and then it distributes it to the people. So this is what's going to happen in the future in the world. Which country will go into this direction first? I don't know. But this is the reality we are going in, that there's no much work we do. We simply enjoy our life and continue like heaven. So this is how I see it. Indeed, it's after when I joined Mazoon College as part of the academic advisory role, I was wondering about the department of the Faculty of Psychology, what to do, how to get jobs in Oman for this particular faculty. I know the IT will find their way. I know the business will find their way. But what about the psychology? Now I believe, Dr. Suhaila, you can realize it. It is highly important in Oman and the rest of the world to have specialist people, to counsel people, to calm them, to make them comfortable, so they will move in their life. I noticed that COVID affects people physically, but really the biggest harm to people is actually the psychology, the belief that it is bad and so on, and the fear of the ultimate. But if the individual have positive energy and they feel they can recover from it, then the COVID-19 will move forward. It will become like a wave just pass through you and then it moves. So really it's very important, such speciality, to be strong and to be available when it's needed. So you can see it now, it's there in front of all of us. Now we go to the measuring performance of organizations. Throughout my career time, which is about 30 years now, we use what we so-called balanced scorecard, which has got 4 coordinates. One of the coordinates is called the internal process. In the internal process, there is something called quality. So quality in delivering the actual job, quality at college, quality at the industry, that quality itself, how to change it from the old quality measurements to after the epidemic quality measurements. So the way to do it is to bring in electronics. And if it's to do with marketing, you need to do marketing in a better way. Then it comes health. Now, previously health, mostly around maybe food and maybe blood pressure, sugar, but now health is come what we call ergonomics, because people are sitting in front of the computers for a long time. They will have a pain, the neck, the back and the hands. So that needs to be changed also. And then comes the issue of safety. The more you employ robotics in the difficult positions, situations, the less you have harm. So you expose less people and you increase on machine. And then it comes the issue of security. More of the electronic system is more secured actually. Even there are some people enter into it, but at least there is a sense of better control compared to the human being. And the other one, it comes the issue of environment, the computers or the robotics or the systematic approach or what we call engineering control it makes less harm to the environment compared to the people, because the people make mistakes can harm the environment. While if it is systematic and well planned and pushed as an engineering control, it will be less. And then we go to the other processes, like when you deliver the work from stage A to Z, that is also important, measuring reliability, availability, and so on. Now, the other one comes is the human factor. As the doctor said, that the human factor is very important. And if the human factor, they are not buying what you say, they are not with you, they are against what you say, because people, we need to realize that when you have change, 10% with you, immediately they say, we are with you. These are in your pocket. Do not worry about them. You don't need to spend time on them. And the other ones, 10% against you. Even you bring them diamond, they say, no, we don't accept. So focus on the 80. These are the most important people because they didn't decide yet. So you need to move forward and deliver change. So change is a critical factor, is also in the human being. That means they will drive the business forward. Now, the balanced scorecard is like a two-wheel car, two-wheel drive. The front wheels, if they are the drivers, they are the internal process, which is the tangible asset, and there is the human factor, which is the non-tangible asset. These both of them are driving the business forward, the result of which is money and customer satisfaction. So that's how it goes. It's two drivers and two behind. Recently, they added in the balanced scorecard another dimension, which is called innovation. That means how to improve the business by having a new approach. So this is the five, what we call coordinates in order to measure the organization performance. Again, it doesn't have to be at specific location to work, especially those who deal with office work or commercial or finance. Those who are not required to deal with spanners and screwdrivers and all these things, they can work from anywhere in the world. They don't need to have a specific building. They can go to the mall. They can go to, for example, to another country and serve from another country. Again, we shouldn't have the habit of working 24 hours. So when there's an email click, we said, okay, I go for it. No, specify the time frame where you reply to that email. For example, for myself, I don't read emails after 7 o'clock. I leave it. The WhatsApp also for me, I don't go through the morning and daytime. I try to go in the evening time if somebody sent me a message through WhatsApp. So really fixing the time frame is important. Also, the time frame that you break the day into like 8 hours, 8 hours for work, 8 hours for leisure, 8 hours to sleep. So in that sense, you can get the best performance out of the organization. I still go back to Mazoon College and I say, you are now the star of the show. You get the best out of it in psychology and IT. So thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Ahmed. Thank you for your insightful presentation. So from your presentation, we come to know that work-life balance is very much important for managing ourselves during this pandemic time frame. So I hope this idea we will use in our practical life. Now, I would like to ask our participant if you have any question for Mr. Ahmed, then you can write down in the chat box of YouTube link, and then we will take it, and later on we will ask to Mr. Ahmed. And please fill up the feedback forms right now if you didn't fill up before. Our next speaker for today is Mr. Dr. and Professor Niaz Latif. He is Dean at College of Business and Interim Dean, College of Engineering and Science, Purdue University, Northwest. Dr. Niaz Latif oversees 2 colleges, which include several undergraduate and graduate degree programs. Dr. Latif has played several important leadership roles at Purdue University, Northwest, most recently as the interim provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs. Dr. Niaz also served as the interim associate vice chancellor for research and graduate studies. Dr. Latif is a fellow of the American Society for Engineering Education and received the ASEE Frederick J. Berger Award for Programmatic and Individual Excellence in Engineering Technology Education. He won several awards from home and abroad. Dr. Latif has also received several federal grants for workforce development, including grants from the National Science Foundation, US Department of Labor, and the US Department of Commerce. Dr. Latif's academic career begins as an instructor of engineering at Louisiana State University, and he then served as an assistant and associate professor at Northern Kentucky University. Dr. Latif earned his PhD from the University of Missouri, Columbia. Without further delay, I would like to invite Professor Latif to take over the floor.
Thank you for that introduction. This is my privilege to be here because we have long-term partnership with Mazoon University. So I'm very happy to be one of the participants here. So can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I'm going to focus on primarily how it has affected the educational institution, this new uncertainty. And then as Dr. Pramod mentioned, that this is something we haven't learned from the past pandemic, so we are not ready for it. And if you do know that in March in the US, at our institution, we first realized that we have to deal with something for which we had no idea. So the good thing is that we had a spring break at that time. So our most primary goal was at that time, how do we ensure the safety? So we formed the safety committee and to make sure what kind of decision we have to make so that after spring break, how we're gonna do the instruction. So all this, please understand that we are a university with close to 8,000 students. It's a full service university, full on-campus university. So we did not have broader participation in online programs. So we thought that we addressed the issue from 3 considerations. We'll focus on the students. Of course, safety was the first. We formed a committee and they are going to instruct us how to ensure the safety for the students, staff, and faculty on campus. Or if we don't have the right kind of answer, then we'll go fully online. And making a decision going fully online is also very difficult for us because it is a challenging with the technology as Dr. Pramod discussed, because of the competency, connectivity, all kinds of things. So having said that, we had no choice. So we had to consider these issues. So students is the first thing we came to our mind, and then what kind of support system we can provide for our students, and then how it will affect the faculty members, what kind of preparation time they would be needing. So we talked about the mode of delivery, so to speak, how we can have participation so that still the students have a meaningful learning, and what kind of technology need will take place, and the level of concern that students would have, and what kind of access and need for such support they will be needing. So we discussed a lot. We realized that many students still wants to come within the safety guideline provided by the state of Indiana. We are located in the state of Indiana. And then we also took a sort of very preliminary study to see what kind of technology need will be needed. We switched to a learning management system that's also new, upcoming in the fall semester. And then we also know that many faculty members who have not used any kind of online teaching, how do we do that? And then students who are not used to use the technology, how would they cope up with this new technology and new learning method? And the previous speaker also mentioned the level of discipline needed, and we had no idea about how the students will react to such new mode of learning. So in terms of mode of delivery, we identified that we have engineering program, we have technology program, where we have to have hands-on laboratory activities, has to be by the, should be on campus. So our facilities department went through room by room and identified the level of occupancy, number of occupancy for each room, whether it's a laboratory or a classroom, as mandated by the state and the safety guideline from the federal level and also state level. Then we also know that some of the classes cannot be taught possibly other than face-to-face. So then again, we have to split the class size to accommodate those students to come face-to-face. Please understand that these are assuming that we would be allowed to open the campus and have this kind of teaching method. It may happen, we are ready for that. In the event that campus is closed, what do we do? And it just happened right after Thanksgiving, right after in November last week. All of a sudden, we said that there won't be any kind of on-campus delivery. So thank God the people were ready from their learning from the spring, and we were prepared for that. So we are we have delivered asynchronous delivery of the classes. Then we have a two form of virtual classroom. One is synchronous, means as essentially faculty like a Zoom to the brightest space, they're delivering the class. And then 100% online, this is asynchronous. Anyone can take it anytime, anywhere at their convenience. We did prepare all the faculty members, allotted them that we all have to be ready for all our courses to be able to deliver, if need be, 100% online asynchronous. Because what happens, even we have a few students coming on the campus, and out of that, 3 people couldn't make it because of some health issue in their family, or they won't be able to come to the campus. So they have to be delivered, the courses. So we looked at that. Please understand that the way the US higher education budget model works, it supports through the tuition revenue and state support. So anytime we have the enrollment issue, it has a budget consequence. Anytime we have to invest resource for new technology, there's a budget consequence. So these are the 4 modes of delivery we used this fall, which just finished. And the upcoming spring in January, the university still decided that everything will be online, at least first 2 weeks, because we just don't know. There's a surge of pandemic right now in our region. So we have to offer everything online, or remote teaching, so to speak. So some of the key measures, this is standard measures that we have taken, endorsed by our safety committee from the university. Every faculty member, every staff coming back in the fall semester in August, we all had to take a training, online training on safety. We all campus, you cannot get to the campus without face coverings. And there is a standard in the student code of conduct. It is also mentioned how they will clean the things when they use the computers, desk, and so on. And there's a university process how to take care of the cleaning and the disinfecting of the classrooms and the laboratories. We have provided safety plexiglass in terms of instructor podium, and there's a signage in every place where number of people can be there. So we tried to implement it, we did, and students have been very supportive, faculty members have been very supportive. It's a safety issue, and if there's any kind of effect happen to the student, there is a daily, we call it data center where someone can log in and see right away how many got infected, and there's a tracing method. So everything is standard method to track and to identify. We have adopted those things. So we also tried to, in summertime or right in the end of the last spring semester, we tried to understand how students are dealing with it. So students went through online courses, and they were thinking at that time, how the technology impacted. So we make assumption right now, everyone has access to that. But as Dr. Pramod mentioned, yes, is it a reliable? Yes, we have the connection. Is it a reliable connection? Is it enough bandwidth? Will it allow to use the software that is loaded in the computer server at the institution? All those things matter. We did proactively, we decided that we do have a student population who may not have the resource to subscribe to internet. We also understood that there could be students who may not have access to the right kind of computing technology where they can have access. So we allotted them two things. We gave them loan computers as much as possible. We also allotted them the Wi-Fi that is available around the campus location where can they drive in and do their work also if needed be. And then we also found that one of the inadequacy they mentioned largely is the required software. So we have to work with the software vendors to allow our students to access the software remotely from their home. And most software vendors graciously agreed to do that to help the students and the institution. And if you look at that, it was not that trivial, but still students had inadequate for printing technology and so on. But look at the number, 29%, they said that they don't have enough time to work. Most students felt like that they're overworked. They're stressed, but they also feel they're overworked because they have to learn the technology, learn to understand the teaching through this distance technology. At the same time, they also realize that also, at least their perception is that because it is online, maybe faculty members are giving too much work. So that's the perception of the students. Of course, there is a difficulty with the sound and equipment and the video equipment as well. So some of the concern, they say that they were nervous, that they're extremely concerned that they may not be successful in moving to online. Now, please understand that right now, as we speak, everything is remote. So students have two choices: either they participate or they don't participate, right? The other thing is that they're also nervous that they may not be able to finish the degree on time. And they also had difficulty accessing the campus services remotely. So campus services include not only academic resource, non-academic resources are also important. That includes advising, counseling service, career service, all those things. So it is important that how we address the support system also. So in terms of support system, whether they have access or they need the support, those are what kind of support they need, all those things we have to address at that time. So we did some survey as well. We found that, their concern is the computer help desk. As you said, having the technology is one thing, but understanding the technology to troubleshoot the technology is a totally different thing. So 28% felt like that the computer help desk was inadequate. Of course, please understand that we have taken this survey in early summer, late spring semester, so that we knew coming into the fall 2020, we have to address some of these issues. So it allowed us to do that and talk to the faculty members. Then you also know that some of the facilities, they did not have access, and with the limited bandwidth, sometimes there have been situations where some of the students could not even access our servers. Then we also talked about how the faculty members we have to deal with. Please understand that the faculty members were ready to deliver classes on campus, face-to-face interaction. Some of the courses, particularly I see a few of the individuals here from the Organizational Leadership Program, you know that some of the teamwork, conference type of courses, you cannot just teach online. I mean, although we learn how to deal with it, we haven't measured the level of excellence on this. We don't even know if the outcome meets the targeted data or not. We haven't measured that yet, but we do know that it's different. We also know that the faculty member needs to be prepared. They need to have a time. So what we did during the summer, when before fall semester, we actually developed the online training program on instructional pedagogy, as well as the instructional technology. And it was open to all faculty. There were modest stipend for the people who attended those. And that allowed most of our faculty members to come at a level so that they were at least comfortable to deliver the online classes in the fall semester. I would consider they have refined that over and over again. And when we shared the student concern with them, they've been very receptive and they dealt with it. They are sensitive to students' need. They communicate one-on-one with the students and very responsive follow-up, so that at least we try to do to make students feel comfortable and less stressful this experience as much as we could. So we also reduced the class size. We created a lot of sections. Please understand that every time we open new section, dividing a class section, it costs resource, right? It costs money. We have to have additional instructor. We have to have additional staff. So there is a budgetary consequence of cost of instruction. And it is in some areas very, very large because with these new safety guidelines, we have to adopt to some kind of process where we essentially called a budget line called COVID-19 budget line. So everything new technology we're adopting, we charge to that account so that we can understand how much it costs. Please understand that our faculty members, many faculty members have the resource on campus in their office, but they may not have it at their home. So we had to provide them laptop technology, computer technology. We allowed them to take their, system at home. So all those things matters. And we understand that faculty members needs to adjust their mode of delivery and their understanding of the students. For example, they have to be very flexible. Give you an example. Faculty members, students coming, 10 students coming in, all of a sudden 3 students from the same class who is coming on campus, who agreed to come to campus, cannot come to the campus because someone in the family or some health issue in that. So we have to be flexible enough to adjust their schedule and also give them the asynchronous delivery at that time for those students. And then students also felt like that the online exams are too strict, So we have to be careful that online delivery doesn't mean that students have all the time in the world. It doesn't also mean that they are working all the time. As Dr. Ahmed just mentioned that, 8 hours you work, 8 hours you sleep, 8 hours you leisure, right? So we all have our other life other than our work life. But students have the same way. Please understand that many of our students are first generation students. They work part-time, remotely possible in this case. And if there is any issue at their family, it causes additional stress. So from faculty point of view, we just cannot run the business the way we did when we had the normalcy and fully online, fully on-campus delivery of our courses. And we all know that, when you communicate through email or through other distance technology, what your intent, the impact could be totally different. So we have to be careful how we communicate with students and the other faculty members and also with the staff. So it is true that remote work by students does not warrant more work by students. So as a faculty, we have to keep that in mind. And the other thing is extremely important. We felt like that every student have his or her own issue. We just don't know. So if a student truly asks for some flexibility, we have to be encouraging, supportive, and responsive. We talk about it all the time. Our faculty members have graciously done that. So right this week, last week, we got some feedback from students how it went. Ad hoc number, but we're compiling all this. And they pretty much, large number of students did indicate that faculty have been very accommodating and tried to help them as much as they could. Please also understand that our learning curve has gone up a little bit, right? Because we started everything in March of 2020. We matured it in April and May. And then we got whole summer to fine tune everything that we have done. We are ready. The fall is a lot better. Spring will be much better. However, we just don't know what will be the upcoming fall. So we are ready from university point of view. Students are ready. We have lost students as well, because many students realize that they will, as a stopgap, they may not come for a spring semester in January. They will pause for a semester and they will come back in the fall because they're just not comfortable with the online learning. And there is a financial situation also. There are lots of people, lost job. It has a implication on that. So that's what I'm saying is happening in the higher education. Please understand that the budget system, the way it works in the United States, institutions such as ours rely on state support. If a state is not getting enough tax, the state support is not guaranteed at the level it was given before. It also depends on the tuition revenue. We also have largest drop in terms of international students as well, because of the visa issue and other things. So we have a lot less international students coming to our campus as well. So those are the unintended consequences of this pandemic. But we are very positive. We think we'll try to make the best for our constituency. And we think it's a bump in the road. We'll overcome it. So we are still investing our resource and energy on the initiative that will move us to the next level of excellence. I'll stop right there. If there's an opportunity to answer any question, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you so much, Professor Niaz, for your insightful presentation. It actually provides us a lot of information. I would like to ask you one question. You have used synchronous as well as asynchronous mode. In your experience, which one worked well?
Synchronous virtual classroom works best because they have a interaction. Faculty prefers that also. The asynchronous, we found that, everyone has to be ready with asynchronous, right? If the campus is closed and everything remote. But the faculty members who taught online class before, so those asynchronous delivery is much more mature, so to speak, compared to those who are delivering right now. We did not yet survey from the students or from the faculty member yet which worked better. But if you ask me what's the preference for the faculty members, most prefer synchronous because they can see the students, they can communicate with them. So,
thank you so much for your answer.
May I add a comment here?
Sure.
Yes, thank you, Doctor, for your presentation and the rest of the team. It's well done, all of us. Thank you. Just my comment that, how about if you have a unified or a common research center between universities? So they do that, the research and findings and in one area, like a public library. And then you establish what we call virtual faculties. So you don't need to have a building to have a faculty with all the furnitures, everything. Just get registration and go for the virtual side. and hire the doctors and the professors who are going to lectures, while the research will be done common for all universities?
You want me to respond to that?
Yeah, yes, please. Yes.
First of all, let's take one at a time. Like for academic advising, which is absolutely critical for students, because they need to know if there's a change in their plan of study, whether they will be graduating on time or not, correct? So we make sure that they're getting the, at our institution, we have a professional academic advisors who have assigned the students and they communicate with the students. They also do use the Zoom technology. In fact, many of our advisors so much committed, they eventually, during the weekends, when they're not in the, so to speak, payroll, they are attending to the students' need. That's one thing. But one of the questions you asked is the research. So research center, which requires physical presence, physical experiment, that a faculty member can do, they have the choice. We make the exception for them to come to the campus, provide given the safety guideline. As a faculty member, when the campus was closed, we special permission can get in because we know that some of the essential tasks needs to be done. But for students, when this campus is closed, they are not allowed to come. But the other thing was mentioned here, the innovation part was mentioned, that we do have a innovation center on campus where we do the commercialization of the products and everything. Those activities are also done. It is not right on our campus, it in a location, at a location away from campus. However, that facility, since it's a university facility, we must maintain the safety guideline there. 6 feet apart, mask, and then, depending on the room size, how many could be in the one room. So we try to do our best in terms of research activities also. As I had indicated earlier, that we consider, at least I consider, it's a bump in the road. Better days will come. So we'll try to invest resources as much as we can, doable, so that we are not behind when things get normal, as we try to strive for excellence in other things.
So,
Thank you.
Dr. Niaz.
Okay.
Niaz, actually, one participant asked a question in the YouTube. In the chat box, the chat box they made it. Are you hearing my voice, Dr. Niaz?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. The participants asked the question, how are you dealing with the nervousness of the faculty? I think these questions they asked in the YouTube chat box.
Okay. You're telling me faculty can not get nervous from 2 points of view. Number one, if they would know that technology is a relearning of a new thing, 100%, and a faculty member, veteran faculty member for 30 years, never taught online class, of course it's scary now, because they all want to be the very best. They all want the best for their students, and they may feel like I may fail not doing the right performance at the level it is expected, right? We understand that. So we barely managed it last spring, but we have a very rigorous training facility online, on campus, small class, to help faculty members, because they understand their lectures. They have everything. It is just to change it in a different mode. So we help them in instructional pedagogy. We also help them with the instructional development. As from the administrative point of view, from my office, I made sure that there's a resource available so that they don't have to worry about the technology they will be using, and the resource available for so that they have time to learn and be ready to deliver in the fall semester. Yes, they're nervous, but faculty members are also nervous that because of their, if they're vulnerable population, having some age group or some kind of illness, we did not force any faculty member to teach face-to-face or hybrid. Absolutely not. It is a decision by the faculty member. They will pick one of the modes out of those 4 modes. And some of the faculty members till today teaching everything online because they understood they have some vulnerability, they cannot afford coming to the campus, and we don't ask what kind of problem is that. We are not allowed to ask, we don't want to ask. But if they say that I can only teach online, we changed our schedule, accommodated them, and did it. Yes.
Thank you, Professor. There is another question.
Doctor, one question is from
Yeah, Mr. Sohail.
Yes.
In another person asked one question. 1 minute. I think it is Mr. Ahmed.
Yes.
Mr. Ahmed.
But
yeah,
before that, there is one question for Professor Niaz. Yeah, okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, there is one question for Professor Niaz from one student. He is asking that, in your opinion, what is your opinion about the flexibility in fees for the students, as students are facing difficulties and obstacles in budgeting? So how can you manage that? So it is from one student.
So first of all, it is costing us a lot. So we adjusted. There is a budgetary constraint. If you're reading the newspaper, you will see that in many private institutions, many regional college universities in the US, they're cutting down the program. The programs which are not viable in terms of enrollment. They're reducing the number of concentrations and everything, which is just not doable, with the budgetary constraint. So, but from a student's point of view, the question is asked, I paid $2,000, now I'm getting all online. Should I pay less than $2,000? Answer is no. Part of the thing is the tuition is fixed and the instruction is still provided. And we all are in the same page. We are all trying to do, but it is not reducing our cost. It is essentially increasing our cost, right? So we have to cut resources in some areas to deliver it. So students also ask, will we get the refund for our laboratory courses because we are not using the laboratories? But still, we are providing the laboratory instruction to the virtual laboratory, which is also costing us because we have to create all these laboratories. And then we are also allowing them to come to campus batch by batch to have that learning experience. To answer to the question which has been asked, no, we did not provide reduced tuition.
Thank you. There is another question. What about the distance learning for a higher degree? Is there a chance to join US universities through this time? Is it going to be more chances than before, including a scholarship?
So the answer is this way. We are still a on-campus full-service university. We're looking forward to the day when our campus will be bustling with the students, faculty, activities, so on, right? We are not online delivery institution. Having said that, we do have graduate level program fully online. At the undergraduate level, we do not have any 100% online program except the nursing program. Also, please understand the Indiana Commission on Higher Education allowed us for the fall and the spring semester to deliver any course online because of this unusual circumstance of the pandemic. When the situation gets normal, we have to go back our mode of delivery because every institution, if they want to deliver their program fully online and on campus, we have to get the authorization from the state to be able to do that. So graduate programs, yes, online. Few courses within the degree program can be offered online, but not 100% at this time.
Another question from Dr. Ali. He asked, what are the assessment methods you recommend to assure quality and ethical matters?
First of all, I cannot answer that. How we'll measure or do the assessment for this online delivery. So this is what happened. Every year when we do the faculty performance evaluation, we do ask them to submit the assessment for their courses. This time we are saying that rather than doing the assessment with each learning outcome, why don't you tell us what worked well, what did not work well, what needs to be improved, and what best practice you think can be shared. And please understand that every faculty member is so much under stress, developing this course, asking them again to measure every learning outcome for their courses is extremely difficult. Also, asking the students to get their feedback is on a new mode. But at the end of the day, in ad hoc data, we just got that I think learning outcomes have been met in many courses, but I do not have the data at this time. Once all the assessment is done, and we delayed the assessment for the faculty member till March, because they have to get time to compile all the information. And at the end of the March, April, I'll be able to know how it went, how the assessment process went. But we do have a built-in assessment system.
Thank you so much. There is one question for Mr. Ahmed, actually. He asks since long, how do you apply balanced scorecard in your organization?
Thank you for the question. Just minor comment to Dr. Niaz, that we and the team, by the way, the academic team in general, just I want you to think about this. Kodak was the star of the show. Kodak is no longer there, and the others. Really, you need to move fast. The regulators of education need to move fast, because we are moving virtual, whether you like it or not. And do not need to increase number of buildings, not required. There is no electricity bill, no water bill, no building bill, just a doctor's bill. So move to that direction, ladies and gentlemen. The time is against you, and it's moving fast. Now, in my
excuse
me, I could not.
Yeah.
Well, this is an example how technology may not cooperate with us all the time. If someone would rephrase that question, I'd be happy to answer. I could not hear very well.
Thank you.
That could,
we go
question
back to the balance scorecard. Okay. In my company, we use the 5 coordinates of balance scorecard when I was, of course, in Majis. Now, the new company have been there for the last 5 months, and the factory is still under construction. So the first car wheel, because we are going to produce aluminum car wheel for cars up to buses of 25 seaters in Oman. And these car wheels will be sold to car manufacturers like Toyota, GMC, Chrysler, and so on. And we have an Indian associate, it's called Synergy Castings India. So this is the principal mother company, and they have a branch in Oman, which we call Synergy Castings Oman. So when I was at Majis, we have a number of measurements, a number of strategic objectives, and against each objective, we have the minimum and the middle and the maximum range. So we get, by the end of the year, some people, they have twice a year measurements, but for us, as well, by the end of the year, we will have the measurements, whether we have achieved the minimum, the mid, or the maximum. And then we get rated for that, and the staff will get compensated, or what we call the end of service, what we call the bonus, the end of the year bonus, will get awarded. But even without a bonus, you feel proud of it, because, for example, last year, the year 2019, we had an excellent score. We are a government company, and they decided there is no bonus that year. So we achieved it, but we got, just the good feeling.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmed. I would like to invite Dr. Shushmita. The floor is yours.
Dr. Suhaila, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, Dr. Suhaila, there is one question for one participant. How any organization can overcome challenges during these tough times? Dr. Suhaila? Okay. I think it's not audible. So my next question from audience side is to Dr. Pramod. Doctor, I hope I'm very much audible. How to overcome fear? Yes. Doctor, my question from the participant side, how to overcome fear of failing during tough times working in a corporate sector and working in any educational institution?
Well, that is the responsibility that I was mentioning of the organizational leadership. They create, I mean,
Okay.
it is the time when you don't create a toxic culture, give them a reassuring feeling. But at the same time, the participant or the employee or the student also must make every effort to learn and develop. So it's a two-pronged strategy. But the major responsibility lies on the leadership. They should create a culture of that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Doctor. My next question is for Mr. Ahmed. There is one question. Professionally, how to manage the personal life and professional life during tough times? One has to prove good in home also, and one has to prove good in any organization also. So how is it possible?
It's just the balance between the three segments of time frame, 8, 8, 8. It's also the issues at work, I don't bring it at home. Neither the issues at home, I take it to work. So usually, I don't know, this is my personality or my style of life, that if I have an issue at home, I try to make a barrier. So when I go to work, I am set for the work, because it's very much important for the leadership to sympathize and to go along with their employees and not to be like stubborn or bullying style, because that's a dangerous area. It's very sensitive. It's also not to undermine the employee potential by saying to the employee, you are not delivering, or shouting, or blaming. All that has a negative impact at later stage. So really you need to maintain a good relationship with the employee. What I noticed also with employees that if you don't engage them, they lose track, they lose interest because they feel they are no longer needed. So it's very much to engage everybody, to involve everybody, and let them work as a team under the leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. My last question for today is for Dr. Niaz. Dr. Niaz, we have one question in our chat box. To what extent a faculty can be flexible with students?
So it is. It's an interesting question, because a faculty member can get an email midnight by the students, because at that time possibly that student has access to that. The faculty member may get a note from his students the night before when the assignment is due that I cannot do it. So if as a faculty member, we assume that student was not doing his or her work, just found out and giving an excuse, that is not acceptable, because we just don't know. So I think as a faculty member, we have to be very sensitive. Sometimes we write email, it may appear to be rude. Again, it's a intent and impact is different, right? Intent is good, impact is different, because student may feel like that faculty member is not understanding my issue, right? So my suggestion would be, as we talk about it, I think it's true for all of us, including the administration, that we have to be sensitive to the students' need. We cannot just assume that, no, they are not doing it because they didn't want to do it. They have issue, family issue, and other things that we do not know. They're suffering from stress, we don't know, and we cannot ask. So faculty needs to be very, very flexible, but we also have to be considerate on the faculty, right? So as an administration, our job is not to give additional tasks to the faculty, because our prime core business right now is the learning of the students, and we facilitate that. So we cannot give them lots of committee work at this time, which can wait, and then give them some relief to deal with the students.
Thank you, Dr. Niaz. It's very wonderfully answered. Now, we are towards the end of the session. Now, I will request Dr. Uwais Hussain to extend vote of thanks to each and everyone present over here. Dr. Hussain.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shishmita, Dr. Suhail, and all team members. Those are conducting this program in very smooth and very interesting way. On behalf of Mazoon College, I would like to express my heartiest gratitude to all eminent speakers and participants. We have been fortunate enough to listen to all the notable speakers and would like to convey thanks to those who have directly or indirectly supported us. I would like to convey thanks to all my department members, marketing department team, as well as IT teams. And my special thanks to Dr. Abbas, who supported us to conduct this program in a very smooth way. Today's webinar was very informative, and I'm pretty sure it will help us to navigate past, present, and future. All the speakers during this short tenure took time for their busy schedule and have enlightened us with the knowledge and the current scenario. Last but not least, would like to convey thanks to Mazoon College Management, Dean of the Mazoon College, and all staff again, and the IT team members, Dr. Abbas, my faculty members, my colleagues, for all delighted supports. So here we are going to be end webinar. Please do not forget to fill the feedback form. And if you are not getting your feedback form, especially on YouTube Live, you can put your email address in chat box. We will try to convey you by person. Surely, it is going to be end by the session. Thank you all speakers. And definitely we will give you our heartiest thanks with the paper of appreciation. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.